Welcome to the Gritty Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Call, and I am joined by my brother, the Gritty Broman, who's looking kind of trim lately.
Thanks. I work out.
How are you?
Well, thanks.
How's the editing going?
I like New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
I have intentions of going and hunting there someday.
Yes.
But I'm tired of looking at it.
Yeah, Brent told me this morning he's ready to start the next video project, which I think is going to be Prince of Wales Bear.
I think that's
Or
the one I
elk.
want to do. So here's the deal.
Uh-huh.
The Prince of Wales one, I pretty much already had it laid out last year
Yeah.
for a day-by-day series. So I think I get 2 or 3 videos done in a week.
That one's really funny because Ben and Anthony are there, and we've been friends since Ben and I since birth, and Anthony since we were like 12, and went to the same high school and grew up together. So with a lifelong friendship, we've been there for a lot, and we've been friends since, when we knew each other in high school and on that. And so there's just nothing that's off limits. And
So, as I say, when you know someone since before prepubescence,
Yeah. And there's this part in the video I laugh all the time when I go and watch it where Ben's missing his front teeth. Like he's missing. He's such a redneck looking dude. We're cousins. Like his mom and my mom are sisters.
Mm-hmm.
I guess there's some visual similarities, but man, he got hit hard by the Morris genes.
There's some genetic diversity hitting hard.
He's missing those front teeth, and it's pretty funny. He knocked him out. I guess he's had fake ones there for a long time. For some reason, he didn't have the teeth on the hunt, so he had this retainer thing that was temporary that put teeth in his mouth. And so then he'd take them out, and he was missing teeth, and it was pretty hilarious. So throughout the trip. And then Ben shoots a nice bear. I was able to do it. Chad was able to do it. My dad was there. We were crabbing the whole time, and Prince of Wales is just a phenomenal place, and it's such an affordable hunt. People are talking about the tar hunt DIY. Prince of Wales is on that same level where you can go for an experience like a really great adventure, because it's not just about the bear hunting.
Mm-hmm.
It's the whole. It's the ocean. It's the whales and the.
You can go deep sea fishing one day. Go hunt bears the
Yeah,
next.
it's the seafood and the seals and the crabs, which we use crab pots every day, and it's the cabin we got for the week. Just the setting, I loved it, man.
You guys got a cabin?
Yeah.
What?
So there's another series where Brent comes with us a few years later or earlier than this.
Earlier.
It's old footage. We're dressed in all sorts of hand-me-down camouflage,
Whatever I could get.
but it's really good as well. And on that one, we take the ferry and we drive my truck and we put our wall tents in there, and we were on the ferry for a couple days, and we drive up and we set up a wall tent on a logging road, and we just hunted that way. And I've also hunted Prince of Wales where everything I brought was in a backpack and a roll-on cooler. And we flew there, rented a car, hunted blacktails, and then threw everything in the cooler and flew home. So I've done it on the tightest budget with spending almost no money, and I've done it on a more extravagant budget with renting a skiff and a boat and the cabin. It comes with everything, and even then it was all like under $3,000 for the whole thing. $2,500 or $2,200 to split the cabin for a week and have his unlimited crabbing and hunting giant bears.
Prince of Wales is cool.
We shot some big bears, and ours weren't particularly rubbed out on that hunt either. And so anyway, there's also a few whitetail hunts that we have on video that are great, and Brent has some elk footage that no one's ever seen that I've never published that I just have been lazy about.
It's interesting because it's when 4K first came out, we have this amazing epic 4K footage. And then you guys are like walking around with like Sony 1080 handicaps.
No, it was a Panasonic tape.
Oh, you couldn't even afford the Sony.
It was a Mini 8 tape. So Brent's editing some tape video.
It's rough
old
stuff.
Old tape video that's mixed with my uncle's 4K, like little handheld camcorder.
Dude, It's like having someone who knows how to make Pixar stuff, and then you went to stick drawings. It's drastic.
Yeah, the aspect ratio is totally different too, and it's square and it's mixed in with 4K.
But it's cool stuff. I think it's going to be cool.
It's funny. I mean, it was still the same guys doing the same thing. But Brent has a bunch of footage he's playing with, and we're, like I said before, we're going to try to put out our show, every Sunday or every other Sunday at the least. So keep looking for gritty videos. This podcast is going to be about the gear we took on our most recent opening week elk season. Cousin Ben and I, and that was a good time. The gear includes everything. That I did forget to include the weight of the trekking poles. I didn't have those strapped to the bag. They were in the back of the truck, and I forgot to include them. So the backpack weighs about 25 pounds. That's everything you need minus food, and food ended up being about 2 pounds a day. So for a 5-day hunt, which is about 10 pounds, so pack was like 35 pounds, and we were living like kings. We were pretty remote, and I think you can do these hunts pretty lightweight. When you start adding cameras and camera batteries and lenses and spotting scopes, that can get you kind of heavy, but we were hunting thick timber, and there really wasn't any need for spotters or fancy optics, just the binos on the chest, and that was it. So we were able to get the loads pretty light.
So the sissy sticks are 7.5 ounces per pole.
Okay. So, and the thing about that is mostly they were in our hands, being used. But Ben did mention how light they are compared to his old school, Black Diamond. They are available at sissysticks.com.
Yes, and sticks is with an X.
X.
Not a CK. It's STIX.
And you can pick up a pair with 15% off using the code GRITTY.
See.
And you can also get a discount at Mountain Ops using the code GRITTY. So do that if you're...
It's a rotating coupon, folks.
Yes.
For now, it might just be free shipping. Tomorrow,
it could be the world.
Yeah, I didn't want to do that. It was a little too cliche. You went from free shipping to the world. I mean...
The other thing is save 20% on Elk University, Elk 101 using the code GRITTY.
So, and you'll get 20 entries to win the Elk truck.
Yeah, the Elk 101 truck. It's pretty sweet, and Corey Jacobson talked about that on our recent podcasts. You can also get entered to win by buying Bugleberry Ignite, which is Cousin Ben's favorite new flavor. So
describe Bugleberry, Brian.
I don't know. It's sort of like pina colada meets berry and cotton candy. I don't
see, because in my mind when I hear Bugleberry, I'm thinking of wallows and dirty elk water. I don't think tropical fruit, but I must say it is one of my favorite ignites.
It's just a bizarre mix of my favorite tastes.
Well, the packaging's red. The ignite itself is blue. And it tastes like pina colada-ish stuff.
It's a mind screw. But I'll tell you that Ben likes to dilute. Ben can't drink water. It's physically impossible for him to drink plain water.
Dude, I am in the same boat. Water is the worst thing in the world.
I think you guys are total weenies.
No, water sucks.
Water's so good.
Water sucks and tastes like a hose pipe half the time.
Natural water right out of the mountain. Although this one tasted like elk piss, but still... There's so many cows where we were at, cow turds everywhere. And then the cows would inevitably walk through every stream. And so
every stream
had dirt running down it. You'd wake up first thing in the morning, and as long as it was before, just right at daylight, the stream was clean and we'd fill up with water. But forget it throughout the day, because by then 50 billion cows have walked through it, and it's just a flowing dirt creek. So with cow turds, because Ben can't drink a Nalgene bottle type thing full of water, plain water, he dumps an entire bugleberry in there. And I think the reason he likes it is because it's such a strong flavor that you dilute it all the way, and it's quite refreshing still. Some flavors, they just lose all their their joy when you dilute them that much. So sign up for the newsletter right away, briancall.com, and you will be entered to win a new pair of Leupold binoculars 10x42 binos, the BX5 Santiam. Check them out. They're great optic, and you can be entered to win. sign up for the newsletter too, because we are able to tell you when we produce a film, when we have a new show that's coming out. We really don't pester you much because we're lazy about the newsletter. But if you sign up, we can meet.
It's work, and it's only you and I.
Yeah.
And you're not doing it.
And so this way we can send out the newsletter and say, hey, check this out, and not lose contact with you like we will on Instagram and Facebook and such. You can also watch right now. Leupold has a 5-part series from my trip to Kodiak last year, where we hunted Sitka blacktail with Cole Kramer. Michael Waneke from Leupold is there, and Tim Lesser from Leupold, and it's going to be a cool series.
I want to find out a little more about that last name, Waneke.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit, and it's spelled weird, like Wunnnicke.
Yes.
Yeah.
It sounds Native American. Waneke.
Yeah. So, but it's definitely not, because Michael's as white as they come. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's something in there I don't know. Always, as you're listening to the podcast, watching the podcast, you can always skip to the part where we dig into the podcast if you don't want to sit through Brent and I's discussion. Brent puts the listen marker in the show notes.
I always write down when the interview starts, right at the very top. It's hard to miss.
And your YouTube and your iTunes as well, and wherever else it's published. The show notes and the description. That's cool. We got a cool review on iTunes the other day that Brent liked.
Yeah. iTunes, man. I have mixed feelings about them.
Yeah.
Because they'll let people say stuff on there that you cannot say on YouTube and stuff. YouTube filters a lot of our comments.
YouTube is really... I'm disgusted by YouTube.
I showed you
community guidelines.
Did you see what was on the dashboard the other day? I showed you when they're saying, make a... What was it? It was basically a call to do a social justice promotion. It was weird.
Yeah, it was something like, change the fabric of the world through your own social justice videos.
They basically said make a
encouraging the world to be, socially proper and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, this whole political correctness thing is killing communication in the world. I hate it. And the way that YouTube does it, they're censoring what you say in the comments lines. And part of that is because of legal things. Here's the reality. YouTube is censoring content through their algorithms, and they're restricting what people see and funneling people to, say, less conservative outlets. And when that happens, you start to fall in the realm of not being, instead of being independent and unresponsible for what people do on the platform, you're now, because you're curating content, you become an editor. And that means that you are responsible. So if someone says something that goes and then triggers some kind of mass shooting event, then YouTube is held accountable. But that's by virtue of deciding to manage content. Now, if they just let it roll like the phone company does, then YouTube is not liable for what people say. And they can't seem to decide which side they want to play on. And it looks like more than not, they would like to restrict anything that they see as somewhat racially infused or some kind of,
anything that resembles a swear word.
Yeah.
Someone put a comment where they said this is a no BS hunt.
Yep.
And it got flagged.
Yeah.
Put in our spam folder, and I had to go approve it.
Yeah. There's a ton of them. Brent and I are dealing with a ton of these comments that people are saying, hey, did our comment get deleted? I can't see my comment. Well, you use the term redneck, or you use the term die, or you use the term. It's like you can't hardly say anything without them rerouting it or deleting it.
You can't say anything mean, derogatory, or violent. Well, Brian, this is a hunting film, so there's some words that are going to be thrown out that are flags.
Anytime gun or weapon related, it gets lumped into violence as well. And so, anyway, just sign up for the newsletter.
Yeah.
And then,
this comment.
Yeah, read the comment. That was on YouTube, iTunes.
Yes, iTunes. It says, it's titled, One of the Best Hunting Podcasts Out There by Arrows 365. I've listened to Gritty from the very beginning and continue to listen. I was brand new to bow hunting when Gritty first got started, and through the years, I've learned so much from this podcast. It's truly a goldmine of information. But not only is it informative, it's entertaining, it's real, and it's relatable. Brian has done an amazing job with this podcast, and all the hard work shows. Keep up the great work, gentlemen. P.S. Your YouTube content is terrific as well. The production is outstanding. I'll take that compliment.
Wait a minute, dude.
Keep them coming. We appreciate all the work and effort you put into all your media. My husband absolutely loves the bear and New Zealand hunts. Alyssa.
That was a shocker at the end.
I know.
That was great. I know that.
Yeah, that was a good comment. And the same thing happened to me. I was reading. I was like, oh, nice. This is a cool dude. And I was like, oh, hey, Alyssa.
Thanks, Alyssa.
Appreciate
that. Yeah. Don't let Brent fool you. I do 90% of the editing.
I let Brian handle the kill shots, and that's about it.
No, I will say that Brent has become quite adept at editing the videos. The last few you've seen are mostly Brent's edits, minus the sort of kill shot sequence.
Which is why I edited all of part 4.
Yeah, right, exactly. The whole thing, because, there was no violence in it. Yeah. So, anyway, let me think here. Is that it? We're ready to rock. I appreciate that comment. You guys leave us a good review on iTunes. Really appreciate that. It always helps us in the rankings in iTunes, although I've kind of given up on that as well.
Well, if you guys want to help us out and share this, or if you haven't subscribed, go subscribe. Because until you hit that 100K mark, you're not like a citizen of YouTube and you have no rights.
Right. Subscribe to YouTube. That does help. We appreciate that. And check out the videos if you haven't seen them. We're getting so many positive comments from the YouTube content that we're creating. I'm excited to get the season put onto Amazon Prime, which we're working on that as well. And I'm enjoying the film production side of what we do.
We want to ramp it up some more. We're talking about doing about 25 a year.
Yeah, a 30, Brent. We're doing 30 a year.
There's 25.
There's 52 weeks in a year.
Yeah,
my goal is
compromising.
30 videos.
30?
More than one every other week.
Well, we'll see. I mean, maybe. That could be doable.
Totally doable. We're already at 9, and it's not even September 7th.
I just think we need to crank up the speed at which intern Brad is learning. And then I think, that would help a lot.
What, you don't have a life? Welcome to the club.
Yeah, for real.
All right, folks. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you got any questions about the gear that we're using, any follow-up questions, leave us a comment on YouTube. Send us an email. We'll read those as well. Mm-hmm. We're working really hard at trying to stay connected to the audience and communicate. I try really hard right now to really focus on YouTube and the interaction there, because those comments, I can they're clean, they're easy to follow. I can comment right there and everybody else can see them. DMs, no one can see it. It's not a group thing that people can view.
And one person might ask that question. That saves you 30 DMs.
Yeah. So it's nice. But anyway, thanks for tuning in to the podcast. Hope you enjoy this one and stay gritty. All right. So I'm going to go over what's in my backpack here and what I brought on this trip. And right now, I'm just going to weigh it for you. I'm going to this is basically everything that I brought with me. So we'll do a bag dump here in a second, and you'll see what I brought. This is the Stone Glacier Sky Talus 6900, I think. Sounds right, 6900.
59?
69, I think, is what I'm carrying here. So that is 30 and a half pounds. 30 and a half pounds, and I'll show you what I've got in the pack. I got my bugle tube. Sometimes I bring the Phelps. That's an Elk 101. This was early season. I do think the Phelps sounds pretty dang good. Especially I like to grunt and do some deep sounds that I get out of that tube. But anyway, that's the Elk 101 tube, and I like that one. It's smaller, more compact, a little lighter. I've got more out calls in the pouch here. I've got this Phelps Easy Estrus. It's got the old GB on it.
Say, bro, what's that?
Custom, bro. And then I have this old like coin purse kind of thing that I got from Glen Berry. calls a long time ago, and it's where I hold all my calls. Here's a Maverick, and then there's a Rocky, there's a Phelps, the gray. I like the gray. Anyway, that's a different story. And you got the amp. I got Elk 101 calls. I kind of blow each one differently, but that's the calls. They were in the pack. Going over the top lid, and let's do the side pocket here. In the side pocket, I brought with me, these are my stockisins. They were freaking awesome.
I was going to ask you. I didn't know you used those.
But
they look a little beat.
Ben walked through cow crap in them because he wanted to borrow them on a stock. And they are covered in cow crap, which then he tried to clean off with baby wipes, and I think he did a poor job. But anyway, they're meant to be used. But these stockisins became my camp shoe as well. And man, I could wear these all day. They're just awesome. Just cruising around country. Nothing punctures this leather sole. They were so easy to stock in. I think that I want to wear them out a little more so the sole is a little more less new and hard, because the one thing I would like to see with these is like a felt bottom or some kind of soft, quiet bottom. Even though this leather is really quiet, there were areas where I felt like if you had a big fleece carpet on the bottom, you could really softly stalk around. But I was the envy of camp. Brad and Ben would see me slip these on in the evening, shed my boots, and walk around camp in these, and even sleep in them, and just be like ready to rock. It was nice to get your feet moving. And so they're not supposed to get wet. That's a downside. They're really supposed to stay dry. They're not treated leather, but they got a little damp on some of the stocks. Didn't hurt anything. I just try to keep them they'll shrink. So they got damp, but not like wet. So I lugged those. I brought 2 garbage bags, heavy duty contractor bags. That's for pretty much lining my backpack. When I pack out meat, I could probably just bring 1, but I like bringing 2. They can also double and be used as a ground cloth, which is what Ben and Brad did. They use their garbage bags as ground cloths. I think that's ghetto, and there's better ways to do it. But you also get a hole in your bag, and then it leaks blood in there when you pack your meat out. So next, out of the top lid here. So here is a extra flashlight, and I bring one of those zebra lights that I got from Ryan Avery over at Rockslide. And this is a spare battery and the zebra light. And the reason I like this is it's just like super tiny, super lightweight, but it can see to the moon. I mean, it is a bright, bright light. So it doesn't last very long. The battery's pretty quick, but on some situations, it's nice to pull that out if you really need a powerful light. Maybe you're trying to find a downed animal in the dark. You're trying to get out of a certain canyon, and you really need to see way, way out there before you commit to a line of travel. Make sure you're not cliffed out, or you can just really see a long distance with this lightweight light. So I got that light in there. And then my other headlamp is this black diamond headlamp. Been using it for years. I forget which one this is called. Brent will put it in the show notes. And what I like about it is it gives you a bright light. It gives you a dimmable light, a bright light, like super bright. And then it gives you a green light and a red light. And the red light, a lot of animals can't see the red light. So we can run those red headlamps at night, on a ridge right across from the elk, and they're not able to see the light. I think having a red light is invaluable. And then the batteries seem to last forever. And then the final thing that's great about it is it locks. So if I push this button right now, you can see it flashing blue. Well, they can't come back on accidentally in your bag and run your batteries down while you're walking around, which I don't know how many people that's happened to. I've been on a hunt and it's been on for 12 hours in their pack because it accidentally got bumped. Other guys that don't have a light like this, and are worried about that, they're always flipping their batteries around so they're backwards, and then they got to flip them back. You really don't need to. This isn't that expensive of a light. You tap the side and you get a high-powered beam. You tap it again, it goes away. To turn the lock off, you got to hold this thing down for quite a bit, and then boom, your light comes on. So, like I said, you can tap the side, and you get the bright light. You tap it again. It's usually tap it when it's on your head, and then if you hold it down, it'll switch. It'll dim, and then you can hold it down, and it'll switch to
green light, double tap that, it'll be red, and hold it down, it'll switch to white again. So it takes a little time getting used to it. It's not that complicated. I just went through the cycle. It's not that complicated. I've given this light to a couple of buddies, and they're like, I couldn't figure it out. But if you can't figure it out, you got problems. You need to work a little harder. If you hold this down like this, it'll lock again and give you that, it's locked till it flashes blue. So love that headlamp. Been using that. I think I've had that lamp now 5 years.
Oh, wow.
This is the SteriPen. This is what I use to filter water. The SteriPen Classic is really the way to go. I've had the other SteriPens, the camper and the hiker and stuff. I've had them quit working within half a season or in the middle of a hunt. So I hate that. This seems to work great, lasts forever, filters my water. And I filter my water in this right here. This is a Microlite GSI 33 ounce fluid ounce. It's about the size of an Nalgene bottle. It fits in this pocket sleeve on my Stone Glacier pack right here. Slides right in. I can access it. It's right about here on my body. I can just pull it on and off. It's really easy to get to. I didn't like that at first, but it's grown on me. I kind of like it now. Only thing is sometimes it kind of bothers me that it's right there by my arm, and you could lower it a little bit. Traditionally, I've had it on my Kafaru in a little slot pocket, which I don't mind that either. It slides in and out pretty easy. I have liked it being out of the way, and in fact, it's a little easier unless you have this in the front, which is a problem. Like when you're maneuvering, you put it on the side, you're trying to slide it out. It's a little tough, and it gets stuck, and then trying to put it back in, and you can't. Well, right here, it's just like, whoop, slides right in, slides right out. Now, the Microlite bottle, it's about the size of an Nalgene. I can't remember the weight. It's been on our YouTube videos. We've shown you that. I can't remember.
It's the same weight as an Nalgene bottle was.
No, it's just a few ounces more than a Nalgene bottle. But it's metal, keeps everything insulated. So when I fill it with cold water, it stays cold. And when I fill it with hot water, it stays hot. And I got to tell you, that is a really nice feature. The downside is, as you're walking through, if it's half full, when water sloshes in any bottle, it makes noise. It makes more noise in a metal bottle than it does a plastic bottle. And so I either fill it up all the way, or I dump it out, or I try not to have it sloshing around when I'm actually sneaking in on something, But that's a small price to pay for the advantage of having a metal bottle. I love this thing. I really do. It doesn't weigh hardly anything. And I don't like drinking out of plastic. It's not good for you. And I got to say, I really like having hot liquids on a hot hunt, and I like having cold liquids. It was 90-something degrees in this elk hunt, and we filled up from some cold mountain water, filtered it with the SteriPen, and that's another thing. It's super easy. I just fill it with cold water, put the SteriPen in, stir it for about 2 minutes or a minute and a half, and then the light goes off, and it's ready to drink. I've never gotten sick using a SteriPen. Also in the pack is this raincoat that goes over my backpack in case it gets rained on. It's a Stone Glacier. It's a bag that just goes over the pack. It's fine. It's just the bag's not waterproof, so you wear a raincoat over the top of your bag and keeps it from getting wet. That's in the top zip here. I bring 2 Platypus 3-liter bags. They're light, indestructible. I fill these up with dirty water, and the way that I fill these up generally is I fill my bottle up and then I dump them into the spout, because filling these bags is a pain in the butt in the water. They don't quite have a big enough opening, but I always fill my metal bottle up and then just dump it in there, and it fills up in a couple of seconds. And then I use these. They carry dirty water, and then whenever I drink and I'm ready for water and I have these in my bag, I just dump it into the Nalgene or to the Microlite, and then I just SteriPen it before I drink it. So I never drink directly out of these bags. They're strictly for carrying water, but not clean water. Ryan uses a different brand bag, and I'll probably switch to that one, maybe.
That's the Hydro Pack, isn't it?
Yeah, the Hydro Pack. He has the Hydro Pack bottle that he uses when it can freeze, though, and it is plastic, but it is lighter. It expands to about the size of this Nalgene. Mm-hmm. When it's full, it's plastic, and then it collapses down to nothing, and it's just a little accordion style bottle. And then he has a 4-ounce Hydro Pack, and it has a much bigger lid on one side, and he's beat the crap out of it, and it's lasted a long time, and that thing hasn't ever broken or leaked on them. And that one's easier to fill, like right up in a stream or a waterfall without having to use your bottle to fill it. But
it's got the same size lid as that GSI microlight bottle, doesn't it?
It's a little smaller than that, but it's still a big enough opening. It's easy to fill directly. So it's a great one too. I've just used Platypus so long, and those things have been like 10, 12 years. I've beat the crap out of them, and they never leak. So moving on, I wear this Benchmade around my neck. It's the altitude knife, and it's the S90V steel. It's unreal. Like, you don't have to, it just stays sharp. It's super lightweight. I love this thing. It's handy. I always know where it is. It's just tucked in my shirt, like around my neck on this little lanyard. I really love this thing. The other thing I've got in here, I've got my Garmin InReach. I'd like to run the Mini. It's a little smaller. I've got the 66i I'm about to test, which is their InReach and GPS combination. Pretty stoked on that. Then I have a Poseidon Dark Energy for charging my phone and my InReach if I need to. And it charges, I used Onyx Maps and my Garmin map software for kind of everything. So it's nice to have a little power source. Here I've got my Mountain Ops beanie, which I never wore because it was like 90 something degrees, but you never know. So that never came out of my pack on this last trip. And then here I have my, what I call the poop kit, basically baby wipes. I've got some Aquaphor. I've got tooth floss, and then toothpaste. Got a little bit of lip balm. And then here I have in this kind of kit is my supplements for the day in these little pouches. And I have them labeled Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, day 5, day 1, day 2, day 3. And then inside here, I just have kind of calcium. I have my fish oil. I have Renew, vitamin D, just things like that inside here. And I find that taking supplements every day while I'm up there, the season can stretch on 1 week here, 1 week there, 2 weeks there, 3 weeks here. And I just feel so much better when I'm continually taking things like this. I have my vitamin C in here. I have some antioxidant type stuff. It's worth bringing the supplements. I think it's on par with bringing quality food. It just, you come back from this hunt, I'm ready to rock, man. I don't feel like I'm depleted, tired, malnourished in any way. So that's that. So that's what I have in the top pocket. I also carry this on my person as well. So I have 2 knives on me all the time. I really like this knife. This is the Benchmade Osborne. I forget what it's called, but it's also the S90V steel, and it's got this carbon handle. It weighs almost nothing. And this blade, just like the Altitude, just stays sharp forever. I kind of like the bevel on this a little more. I like how thick this blade is compared to the Altitude. I like how it feels in my hand. It's not the best blade for skinning, but for popping joints and just about everything else, this blade I like it. It just seems to stay sharp forever. And I usually carry it in my pocket, and I have this little Sea to Summit clip on there because I have lost more nice knives coming out of my pocket. And so I like to clip it in my pocket like so. And then I usually take this lanyard or this clip and put it on my belt loop or on something or inside your pocket. It depends what you're wearing. And then I just never lose it. It never gets lost. And
it's like a chained wallet.
Yep. It's a little inconvenient, but I tell you, I've lost so many knives going on hikes through the woods, and I don't like it dangling around in the bottom of my pocket, and then you sit down and it slides out. I tether it. From now on, I tether it. I think this is like a $200, $300 knife. So, but I love this thing.
An open pocket.
I love this thing. I do. I love this knife. So that's another cool thing in the pack. And then let's go over inside the pack. I will have to amend the weight a little bit of the pack because this is everything I wear on my person. This bag minus this jacket. So to get an accurate pack weight, I really should subtract this. And what I'm wearing on my body is 2.5 pounds. So the pack is really somewhere around 28 pounds of weight.
Not bad.
So what do I wear? So I bring this Kelvin light vest or Kelvin light jacket. It's synthetic down or synthetic fill. It's an insulating layer. It's hooded. I bring that, and I use that till like mid-October, late October. I pretty much don't need a thicker puffy in general. On this hunt, I brought this Kelvin Active hoodie, and it's kind of funky. Ryan turned me on to it. Barklow talked about it, but it wasn't until Ryan was using it that I actually was bought into it. Sorry, Barklow. But it's got this kind of fuzzy liner in here that's really comfy, but it breathes super well, and I find like it's just perfect for hiking, but also keeping you warm. Typically, I wear a vest, and I take it on and off. I was kind of able to just run this. It's got short sleeves, so it's perfect for drawing your bow. Doesn't get in the way, but the sleeves actually come down a little bit rather than a vest, which is up here. And I found like it was the perfect layer to keep me kind of warm while being super active. Now, the outside, this jacket in general is not super tough. Like this material can catch or tear super easy. It's not like, I can see it catching on a branch or something. So I think that's the downside to it. But man, I loved wearing it. And I don't need to worry about it generally tearing or anything where I'm hunting. It's worth it to me. It's nice. But if you are worried about it, then I think you bring the Kelvin Active vest. And it's a little warmer anyway. So come October, I always bring the Kelvin Active vest and then the Kelvin Active hoodie. Those are my layers, my puffy warmth layers. And I wear that vest over typically a Sitka hoodie of some kind. This is the super lightweight hoodie, the lightweight. I'll wear a mid or a heavyweight hoodie, but basically it's just the long sleeve hoodie. It's got the face mask in here. It's kind of handy.
It's got a built-in face mask.
Yep. And the hood and the long sleeve. And for this temperature, like 90 degrees, it was great. Pull the sleeves up now. The next layer up, it actually has a thumb hole and it's a little heavier. And then the next layer up, it's same cuts and design, just different weights for different temperatures. So I'll maybe upgrade to a little hotter one, as the season progresses and gets colder. And then in here, I've got, I've talked about this before. I like these Gore-Tex socks. They don't make them anymore. I wish they did. I love them. There's some kind of synthetic wool blend. Farm to Feet is another good one. Although I think I like Darn Tough better. Farm to Feet still left my feet a little hot. I sweat bad. I have sweaty feet. So I need something that really wicks moisture. And I have not found anything better than these Smart Wool sock liners. These things are just a plain, thin, black sock liner. You wear those with the wool sock over the top. I don't use too much padding, too much sock. It wicks the moisture away, keeps the blisters away. Ryan Lampers and Jeff Lusk recommended I try those Injinji 5-toes.
How'd that work out, Bri?
I got blisters. I actually didn't get blisters, but I came very close. They did not wick moisture away from my foot enough. They got too wet and they stayed wet.
You also have pretty sweaty feet.
Super sweaty.
I do too.
People don't know. My feet are so wet. It's crazy. They sweat a lot. So there's something about these sock liners made by Smart Wool, these thin little black ones that are mostly all merino. They just keep the moisture off the skin, get it to the second layer sock, and then this material just tends to wick it away. And literally, I wore the same socks 5-6 days in a row, and that's it. I wear the same clothes 5 or 6 days in a row. Don't change any of that. And then in here, I have my scent pants, which is what I wore on this hunt. They're just cool. They're great for early season. I don't like to wear a heavy pant. I get sweaty in the crotch area and the butt, and I don't like it. So I like to wear a light pant compared to what most guys wear in every part of the season, and I like to wear my socks long up to my knees if I'm cold and then shove them down when it gets warmer. I don't ever wear long johns. Then I have my Bino Rig, which again, it's part of that 28 pounds. So if I were to subtract this rangefinder and Bino Rig from the pack weight, which I don't know if you should, but if you did, that is 3 pounds. So now you're down to
so it's really a 25-pound
25-pound backpack for 5 days. But that's not 5 days of hunting. That's minus food. Well, there's this in here too, which I should subtract. I probably should have subtracted a few things. There's a brand new 66i, Garmin 66i, which I haven't taken out of the pack yet. I'll just put this stuff back in and reweigh it based on what I'm actually bringing. Cousin Ben, he brought these 15 power binos. I have the 10s, and I have a Leupold rangefinder. These 15 power binos are legit, the Santiam BX5s by Leupold. I actually prefer this for most of my hunts over a spotter, and Ben carried these and the tripod. So I was not carrying these on the hunt. Ben did. I was carrying some camera gear. And then this is the tripod that we've been using. It's a Leupold carbon fiber tripod. Again, it's pretty sweet. It's not that heavy. It's super stable. With the tripod head and everything you see here, it's about 3 pounds. So it's tall, heavy duty, stable. It's nice. It's a little bulkier than some, not by much. And the fluid head is super nice for glassing. Then here's my stove, and it's just a mini mow, like we've talked about before, Jetboil mini mow. And I've got the Sea to Summit spoon, long spoon. I never leave without it. Get a little fuel canister. This Sea to Summit has a simmer capability, so I can simmer the heat and rehydrate foods really well. And I like that it's shallow. It's easy to stir. You can cook right out of it, where the Jetboils are skinny. You can't get you down inside the Jetboil, and the Jetboil has you can't fine tune the valve. It's either full torch or not, or it shuts off. And this one, you can get it down to just a little tiny white flame and let it simmer for however long you want. Here is the Seek Outside Cimarron. If you've been following along on the hunts on this year's video series, the Tar and the Bear Hunt, you've seen this Cimarron in use. Go check those videos out. They're on YouTube right now. This checks out as basically 1.5 pounds. And then I have the poles that go with it right here. They're carbon fiber poles. Here we have my Possibles pouch, and I have like Thermarest patches in here, tenacious tape for patching things. I have some lighters. I have some lighters that have Leuco tape on them for taping blisters if I ever had any. I got aqua tabs in case my SteriPin fails. I can decontaminate water. I've got a spare headlamp, a Petzl little E-light here. I've got some Allen keys in here for my bow and whatever else needs some work, my tripod, whatever. Compass. I really like this lighter, Pyro Putty lighter. It's got some sort of, you can charge it with a USB port right here. It's got this like electric.
Oh, it's a little plasma type torch.
Yeah. And it just lights stuff. No fuel is in it. Some kind of electric plasma.
Just charge it on the drive up there in the car.
Yep. And then I have fire starter in here. Military grade kind of stuff. And I've got Imodium AD in case I got diarrhea out there and I can't stop it. And more fire starter. And then I've got fireproof matches, or waterproof. That'd be bad if they were fireproof. I got waterproof matches in this little container with a strike plate here. Stormproof matches. So I got multiple ways to start fire, multiple lighters, and then I got super glue right here. Little tiny things of super glue that are basically, you get one squeeze out of it and then you chuck it, because there's no point in having a half open super glue in your kit. So that's kind of, I got a couple of zip ties in here. It's just a little bit of everything. I've got Band-Aids and some medical stuff. That's my, deal. My trekking poles, I usually put duct tape around them, or Leuco tape, or some kind of medical tape, so they're around the pole so I can take that off. A lot of guys do that. Thermarest Neo Light Air pad, and here I have the Stone Glacier Chilkoot 15 degree treated down bag, and I love that thing now. And then I have these Graxaw game bags, which a lot of people have asked about that. He doesn't have a great website, but you can find him on Instagram. You can go to the link in our videos. And cool dude, though. And these bags these don't weigh anything, and they'll do a whole elk. They're for boned out meat, though. These are not heavy duty enough to be putting like sharp bones inside of it. It's just meat bags. They are incredibly strong. We put all our bear in here, and we did all our tar with these same bags. So they're great. And then here are the steaks. I have another steak pouch that I'm using too over here, but they're all the same. This is for another tent setup I have, but the steaks are these Msr Groundhogs, and I love these things. They're a little bigger. You can go with a smaller steak too, depending on the type of hunt you're in. There's these little groundhog steaks, depending on where you're at, and you can lighten your load. But I just like the bigger ones. They give me more comfort that in a storm and in certain conditions that my tent's gonna stay up. There's the steaks, and then here's my Seek Outside ground tarp. I freaking love this thing. It's huge. It's about as big as this table. And I can actually stake it down if I want to. And it just stays spread out and clean and neat. And I ended up having to share with Ben because his garbage bags weren't adequate. And I love this ground cloth from Seek Outside. Totally dig it. And then right here is the Flash rain jacket from Sitka. It's just in case some rain hits us. It's a lightweight kind of rain jacket. And then I brought these Ascent Gloves for just taking the chill out of the air if I'm glassing in the day. I didn't need gloves on this trip at all. Didn't use the rain gear either, but thankfully this doesn't weigh hardly anything. So I'll put all this stuff back in the bag, and then I'll weigh it again now that I've taken out some of the stuff that is the stuff I'm going to wear, and we'll just get a quick weight on the bag. All right, so I got everything out of there that I'm not bringing with me. Get a new pack weight here. Okay, it is 25 pounds for the backpack and all the gear. So the pack is 25 pounds. That has everything I need for 5 days of hunting minus food. But it's got my electronic devices, my chargers. It's got all my sleep system, first aid, possibles, everything. So basically the pack weighs 25 pounds. And that's got everything in it except what I'm going to wear and my food. That includes things like it has my inReach in there. It's got the heavy Poseidon battery thing. It's got my calls. It's got everything. My game bags, my knives. It's got a huge shelter in a 9.5 foot by 8.5 foot Dyneema Cimarron Seek Outside shelter. I've got the ground cloth, which is huge. We could fit 4 guys in that Cimarron, but it was crowded. 3 guys was pretty darn comfortable. Ryan likes 2 guys because he's antisocial. So but who cares, man? The whole thing weighs 1.5, 2 pounds for the whole thing with stakes and poles and everything. So it's pretty hard to beat. The Stone Glacier bag's comfy, light. I used it as a blanket on this trip because it's hot. I didn't need to use it as an actual sleeping bag, and I slept directly on the pad. We actually used the teepee twice out of 6 days, and the other 4 days we just slept on the ground with no shelter, and it's great. One thing you might notice is that in this pack, I did not have optics other than the Bino Rig, because when I was elk hunting, we were hunting thick forest. There's really no need to be packing around a tripod and a spotter. Nevertheless, Ben did bring the Leupold 15 power binos, and he did carry the tripod. So he picked up a little weight there just in some of the areas so he could glass a little further. I carried the camera gear. Now, one thing I didn't include in this was camera gear because I've covered that before in a couple of shows. So you can go back and check out some of those if you would like. For boots, I took the Crispy Colorados, which I really like. I love those boots, but they are quite stiff. And I will say that they're a dream come true as long as I'm hunting super steep terrain. But a lot of this elk hunting, I was covering miles of terrain that was relatively flat or gradually sloped. And I really felt like it was too stiff for that hunt. And I would have preferred to have my Crispy Nevadas. My only problem with the Nevadas is they're insulated. They don't breathe. They're just warm. So I didn't want to wear them on this early season where the Colorados breathe or very cool. They're not full grain leather; they're synthetic. I have been wearing these crispy Laponia, which is what Ryan loves and he wears. They don't have the ABSS, the ankle brace support system, in it. I just am leery about twisting an ankle or something without that. So as much as I love these boots, without that ABSS system in there, I'm just really reluctant to go hunting in them. The Crispy Summit is a great boot. It's another boot that's a favorite of mine. A lot like these Laponia. They're a little stiffer, and I like that. But again, they don't have the ABSS either. And so any boot I've worn from Crispy that doesn't have ABSS, I just feel like I'm on the edge of maybe spraining an ankle, especially with a 150-pound pack, which I've packed many miles before. I just feel like I need that ankle support. Not so much for just day hunting or carrying this 25-pound pack. So I just prefer a boot that has that ankle support system for the heavy packs, not so much for just your normal everyday kind of hikes. I love those boots for just climbing the mountain with buddies, doing some light hiking. But I just get leery after a week long of hunting in heavy packs. That's when the ankles go and things happen. The base weight of the pack is about 25 pounds for everything I need. Add the Bino harness rig, which is 4 pounds, maybe 3-4 pounds, depending on your setup. Add the weight of your bow to that, and then add your days of food, 2 pounds a day. You can figure you're talking for a 5-day hunt, 10 pounds of food, or 3-day hunt, 6 pounds of food added to that weight. So I think Ben and I added camera gear to it with spare batteries and such. So my pack-in weight was about 38 pounds, and that was with 3 days of food, 3.5 days of food. I think you could get that weight down if you got rid of like 7 pounds of camera gear. You can be going into an area with 30 pounds pretty easily for a 5-day, 6-day hunt. And each day you're going to lose about 2 pounds of weight as you eat the food. Now, that also didn't include water, but I don't carry water generally, except for when I get there. I usually fill up, carry water temporarily for night, but we kind of stop, get water throughout the day, different places. You know, it can vary, but I think you can really easily do a hunt with a less than 30-pound pack, and you should have a great hunt. Food, I don't know that you could shave a little bit of weight on the food, but primarily shelter weight being so light, backpack or it being so light, my sleeping bag being so light, everything kind of just lends to a really lightweight load for backpacking. And I feel like I'm not really sacrificing very much. I think you can see that camera gear and optics can add a lot of weight to your kit. I mean, it plays a big role. So that's where I have to make sacrifices and some serious decisions. Do I really need this spotter for this backpack hunt? Do I really need this powerful a bino? And man, it's really hard to leave optics behind. I go through the same issue with camera gear. I brought the 1 to 400 millimeter lens with me. It's a big piece of glass. It's like a spotter. I'm filming, so I like to bring it. But camera gear can make a big difference too. So I hope that helps you on your hunts. If you got any questions, send them in, write them down below in our YouTube comments. Thanks for tuning in. Stay gritty.